This is interesting because it applies to homeowners who cannot refinance due to a decline in their home value, which has got to be just about everybody these days. It can lower your interest, which would result in lower payments. It can even result in lower principal payments, believe it or not, although only for a temporary period of time. It can also be used as a bridge to take an adjustable rate mortgage, and this is the so-called ARM that's gotten so many people in trouble, and replace it with a fixed rate, 30-year mortgage, the old tried and true. As a net result, often what you're doing is you're enlarging the term of the underlying mortgage. Now, in an extreme case, you can look at California, which has an animal known as a roughly 100-year mortgage, or 40-year. These are very large. Really, in the end, the consumer doesn't win, although the monthly payments will go down. You can finance through your existing mortgage company or through a different lender that is assigned by the program. So the HARP program and the HAMP program can both be useful. The HARP program probably more so for people who haven't had as many payment hiccups, are likely to be able to continue making payments in the future. The HAMP program might be more of a last resort. Eligibility for HARP, you have to own more than 80% of the property's current value. Excuse me while I laugh, because many times people are completely upside down. You must own a 1 to 4 unit home as a primary residence, your typical single-family home, or a secondary residence of about the same size. In other words, HARP can be used even when we're talking about your secondary residence or investment property, if you will. Again, it's very useful. If you own an investment property, you can't have more than 10 units. If you own an apartment building, mortgage payments must have been made on time. That's why I say this program is more for people who are able to keep up with their payments. So your payments must have been made on time. The new mortgage that you may be flipped into can be an adjustable rate or ARM, but you're smart to go with a fixed rate loan if you can. And you have to pay down all arrears, that is to say all unpaid past payments, within 18 months. It's really about cash flow, folks. And if you're less than 2 months delinquent, so it's just say a 1 month hiccup, you can even take advantage of what's called streamlined refinance. So smooth sailing. Okay, so we've talked about the foreclosure process. We've talked about HAMP. We've talked about HARP. We've talked about what to do when you're in foreclosure. Those are very practical steps. Now, the next few things we're going to talk about are purely defenses to foreclosure, legal defenses to foreclosure. So this is not something that you're going to try on your own. Get a lawyer. One of the things you have to be aware of is force-placed insurance. This is something that escapes a lot of people. The fact of the matter is, if the bank, if your mortgage bank, feels that you're underinsured, or if you actually let the insurance lapse, which frequently happens, the bank will simply place its own insurance on your property. And if you're trying to save that property, you're going to end up paying the premiums for that insurance. Now, most people say, well, big deal. Here's the big deal. Forced-placed insurance, which is what this is called, is tremendously expensive. Some might say insanely so. Be aware of forced-placed insurance. Be aware also that if property taxes have not been paid for a period of time, there's a hidden danger known as a tax sale. Taxes for real estate that have not been paid, and of course taxes here in Illinois have to be paid twice a year. Taxes for real estate that aren't paid can literally be paid by a third party. It's like somebody else paying your restaurant bill. When they pay it, they are then entitled to get that money back from you, plus an exorbitant amount of interest. And on top of that, the tax sale lien, which attaches to the property, is potentially more, has a higher priority than your actual mortgage lien. So number one, having a tax lien on the property makes your mortgage company very nervous. Number two, if you're trying to save the property with the HAMP program, the HARP program, or just trying to work with your bank, having a tax problem that could result in sold taxes or tax lien is one way to kill your negotiations right away. Lost payments. Who hasn't had these to contend with? When a loan is sold or transferred, not all payments are applied correctly. And over the past 5 years, this has been virtually epidemic. But it's hard to track, it's hard to prove, and often the results are going to bring you down as your bank, even if it is their fault. Now, failure to accelerate the note. This is something, it resembles a game of chicken between you and your bank. Any mortgage process involves signing an interest in the real estate known as a mortgage and a personal obligation known as a note. It's the note and mortgage together that you sign. Well, virtually every note that you could sign in connection with real estate is going to say that the bank, the holder of the note, is entitled to all of its money if you miss so much as one payment. So think about it. With a $200,000, $250,000, $300,000 mortgage, you miss one payment, you got to come up with $300,000. Good luck with that. Now, what if your bank doesn't demand all $300,000 when you're one payment behind? What if it lets you get a payment behind, 2 payments, 3 payments? What if this all goes into the mix and you miss 1 out of every 3 payments for years? This happened to a client of ours. The argument to be made on behalf of the homeowner is that the bank essentially waived its right to foreclose just because of a few late payments. We could let it go this far. Banks will be quick to tell you that failure to accelerate the note, failure to demand all their money at one point, will not prevent them from demanding all their money at a later point. Of course, they keep the table tilted in their favor. Let's go to the next slide. All right.